As per usual, please subscribe to the channel. I appreciate all the support. Now, today's question is really just one question, but the answer is extremely long because it's an intricate question. And it is, why did I stay in China for so long, and do I regret it? Now, for context, I stayed in China for 10 years. I think this is common information by now, but just in case it wasn't, there it is for context. Now, let's get something clear. Nobody is paying me to say this. This is my personal opinion from having lived in China, and it is based on what I saw, heard, and experienced directly, not hearsay, not rumors, not urban legends, directly experienced this. Now, China is a massive country, and it is extremely diverse. The life I lived there may not be what you experience if you move there or visit. Now, many people close to me know that my initial plan after graduating university was to move to China on a 2-year contract, get teaching experience, then apply for jobs in Japan. So, how did 2 years turn into 10 years? Well, it's quite simple, but has many interlocking reasons. First and foremost, I enjoyed living in China. Life for me there was very good. I was happy there and I enjoyed my time there. Now let's start by saying everywhere you go, you will find good people and bad people. But I encountered infinitely more good Chinese people than bad ones. I was treated with kindness and respect 99% of the time where it comes to interactions with me. And to be honest, I can't even remember the 1% of the time I encountered problems, because they were that insignificant now, looking back in the grand scheme of things. Even with little or no English ability, many Chinese people would often come up to me to try start a conversation. Not to get something from me, not to try sell me something, not to try hustle me or none of that. Just to learn about me and what I thought about China. In fact, the first Chinese sentences I learned were these questions they all asked me repeatedly, and how to answer them. And these questions were just to get to know about you and your thoughts regarding them and their country. If you are an introverted person, you probably won't enjoy this. But if you are an ambivert like me, or extroverted, you will enjoy it a lot, as it takes the pressure off of you to approach people when you are already dealing with being out of your comfort zone and a language and cultural barrier. I made a lot of good Chinese friends, and I still talk to them even now that I have left China. So being able to get along with people and form good relationships was already a big plus in my book right out the gate. To add to that, China is also an incredibly modern and convenient country in terms of amenities, and for me, the quality of life was exceptional. In the 10 years I lived there, I never owned a car, and I had zero reason to even consider it. The infrastructure is incredible, and the public transportation puts my home nations straight to shame. So getting around my cities was incredibly easy, even before I purchased my e-bike and familiarized myself with Didi, which is essentially a better version of Uber. After I got my e-bike and downloaded Didi, it was even more ridiculously convenient. There are dedicated e-bike lanes everywhere, as it is a massive part of Chinese transportation in big cities. So there was never a point I felt unsafe driving around. And to be honest, I had not even seen roads that well maintained in my life, even in America, like I saw in China. I am not exaggerating when I say if you are able to notice any problem with the road as a normal average citizen, you can bet your house that the local government have already put plans in place to deal with it, and a construction crew will be out there within the week to fix it. Now, before we get into the next part, let's provide some context with full transparency. When I first moved to China, I was making about 20,000 US dollars per year. And that increased after 4 months when I became a manager to about 26,000 US dollars per year. And it went up with each new contract until at the end I was making 52,000 US dollars per year, which is not great in American economy and in terms of American cost of living, but really good in China compared to the average salary that Chinese workers receive on average. Obviously, there are some people in China that are making mind-boggling amounts of money. But when we look at what the average person makes, my salary was comfortably in the upper middle class. Average salaries in China are much lower in general because the cost of living is much lower. I have been to roughly 50 countries and I have never seen a more affordable country anywhere on the planet, in 3 or 4 continents at this point. Everything in China is extremely affordable, from rent to utilities to groceries to anything you can imagine, with the exception of imported goods. If it's made in China, you can get it for a good price, a price you will be happy to pay when you compare quality to price. If it is imported, chances are you're going to avoid purchasing it unless it's something you just can't give up and do without. For example, China is not very big on making their own cheese. So you need to purchase cheese from countries that make it, i.e., the ones in Europe like Ireland or Australia, New Zealand, etc. And when you look at the price of cheese compared to everything else in the grocery store, even though we can afford it, it seems unjustifiable to purchase it when everything else is so ridiculously cheap. Now, let's be clear. Cheap does not mean bad quality. This rule is standard worldwide, but China takes the rule I'm about to repeat to another level. You get what you pay for. If it is something of no importance regarding the quality, you can get something dirt cheap and it will still serve its purpose. This means you can save on things that don't matter and pick and choose where you want to invest additional funds for additional quality. Things of good or high quality in China would still be cheaper than purchasing the exact equivalent abroad. Rent and utilities are also mind-bogglingly low. My first apartment in China was a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom penthouse with a massive living room, a massive dining room, a good kitchen, and 4 balconies. 1 balcony for each bedroom and 1 balcony for the living room. And the price was $650 US a month. And it was completely modern, completely brand new, and furnished, including electronics. It had a wall-mounted flat screen, an L-shaped sectional couch, glass coffee table. It was exceptionally furnished and was $650 US a month. Utilities are also ridiculously cheap because unlike other countries, the Chinese government is not trying to cripple its citizens with utility bills. Utilities, lights, water are government run and heavily subsidized. And the only reason it's not just outright free is to discourage people from wasting power and water. Rent plus utilities for that place was roughly 800 a month or cheaper. And to be honest, I abused the utilities because it was affordable for me. I would have the AC and heating going at all times if I was home, and the TV running shows or video games the entire time I was home. Groceries were also absurdly cheap as long as you didn't buy foreign produce. They also delivered to your house for basically free, making it beyond convenient. You could just scroll the grocery store app on your phone, pick things out, and they would deliver it to you. And I know a lot of you are going to think, but then I don't get to pick the vegetables and the fruit and the cuts. You are going to get the best in the store because their return policy is if you don't like it, you can just send it back and get a full refund. So they are actively going to try send you the best stuff they have to avoid this refund. It's literally just a waste of your own time to go to the grocery store thinking, I know what's going to be better for me to pick. No, they're going to send you the best that they got, even that's in the back that you don't know about. Prior to moving to Japan, I will be honest, I did not need to make a budget. The budget just took care of itself while I was living in China because life was so affordable. I would have to actively seek ways to waste money to ruin my budget. I basically saw all of Asia while living in China because saving money was that doable. This also extended to healthcare. Every year my company would pay for a physical, and I mean a full physical, EKG, ultrasound, x-ray, blood draw, every ears, nose, throat, literally every medical test you can imagine, CAT scan, all of it. They would conduct it at the hospital, and they would send me a full report grading every metric of my health for me to look over and with doctor recommendations. Now, aside from that, being funded by my company, which is something all Chinese companies need to do for their foreign workers once a year to maintain their visa, I actually went to the hospital one time in my 10 years living in China. And it was against my will. My ex-girlfriend forced me to go to the hospital because she was genuinely worried that I was going to die. The tests, consultation, and prescription of top quality medication that I had foreign doctors in my family look over was $80 total. Now I know my fellow Americans would be saying, yo, going there would medically bankrupt me. But unlike other countries, China is not trying to drown its citizens in debt. Now, I could literally ramble forever because the quality of my life in China was actually exceptional. The only regret I have was being away from my family and friends. And even then, the good still outweighs those regrets. Would I do it again if I could go back in time? Absolutely, I would do it again. 10 out of 10 would run it back. Now run the music.
Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Keep my head up when I act, head up, that's a fact. Never looking back, I'ma keep myself on track. Keep my head up, staying strong, always moving on. Feel I don't belong, tell my thoughts to move along. Push myself to be the best, die with no regrets. Live with every breath, see my message start to spread. And I had so many dreams. When you hit your teens, life ain't really what it seems. Try to find out what it means. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Yeah, I put out all this art, it's my only medicine. Yeah, everything I do, I'm just being genuine. Yeah, I'm sick of being screwed, feel my own adrenaline. Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah.